Hey, this is Larry Whiteley, voice of Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World Radio. And you've accidentally downloaded the Thinking Woodsman podcast. Keep listening. You're going to love it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Larry Whiteley, for that introduction. And the audio from the beginning of the show was sampled from a bow hunt back in late September where I killed a great 9-point buck, which we'll talk more about in the first segment of today's show. Well, welcome back to the November 2017 episode of the Thinking Woodsman Show. This is the confluence of humor and conscience in the great outdoors. I'm your buddy Tim Chelsvik, and we're coming to you from the Select Archery Studio. Select is a full-service bow shop located in Normal, Illinois, stocking thousands of quality archery and bow hunting items to help you get the most out of your time outdoors. Stop in and shoot the 20-yard range or come in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to shoot the always open range. Find them at selectarchery.com or chat them up via phone at 309-862-2697. We're also brought to you by the great folks at Osage Trophy Blend, makers of quality wildlife food plot mixes with high germination rates and no filler material. Bolster your wildlife's nutrition with an OTB food plot on your property. See their range of solutions at OsageTrophyBlend.com or give the beautiful Bobby Wilson a call at 660-383-2051. Well, on the show this month, first I'm going to catch you up on that bow kill that we talked about. Then we're going to visit with Elliott Booe from BBR Outdoors. We're going to thank him for his generosity towards a member of our armed forces and hear what he's doing with BBR Outdoors. You'll get to hear my new ad for a deer hunter's alarm clock. Then Matt and Dana from Tall Oaks Archery are going to swing by the Select Archery range, and we're going to play a little Clint Black version of Finish That Lyric and talk about broadhead testing. Then I'll tell you about a few of my latest projects in the What Cookin' segment. And finally, you be the judge. Hear about a run-in with law enforcement that I had on my property with my firearm. Listen to the scenario and decide if you would have done what I did if you would have done something different. Okay, it's November. That means the rut is picking up and there's no time to kill. Clint Black reference. Let's jump into the first segment and hear about my first buck of the season. Didn't he used to call it the Thinking Woodsman podcast? Yes, I did. And I'm making a conscious decision. I'm not trying to trick anyone, but the word podcast just confuses people and they don't know what it is. They don't know how to get it. And it sounds like something only Mac users would listen to. So we're making a shift. It's going to be called the Thinking Woodsman Show, and we'll just keep it clean and simple. But I wanted to catch you guys up on a buck kill that I made back in September. I didn't get a chance to talk about it on the October show. And it all happened very, very quickly. I killed a great 9-point just outside St. Louis, Missouri. It was an early season hunt. I think it was September 26, and temperatures were during the daytime hitting close to 90 degrees. I got out early on a Saturday morning at a small 9-acre property where, if you get the Missouri Conservationist, you saw that I did an article called Suburban Bow Hunting. Well, this is the same property that we did the photo shoot on out there. I set up my X stand on Friday night after work, just on this finger that came down off a plateau where there was a bunch of cedar trees, and it was a big old tree overlooking these cedars and really scrubby, really thick. I spent a lot of time clearing out shooting lanes in there. Got the X stand set up. And then came back the next morning. And typically I hunt in the evenings, but my schedule allowed for a morning hunt, so that's what I did. I wasn't in the stand more than a half hour, and I just got done talking to the video camera, talking about how it rained the night before, and so everything was quiet in the woods, and it was so tight in there that I have to really be on my guard and be visually scanning because I probably wouldn't hear the deer approaching. I just got done cutting that, and I look over and out of the corner of my eye to my left to the west. I see movement. And I look a little closer. It's antlers, and it's a pretty good network of antlers also. The backstory on that is my buddy Carl had hunted that property a few days prior and said he saw a really big 10-pointer out there. So I was on guard for a big shooter buck. And as I looked closer through the branches, I could see this was a mature deer coming. I don't spend too much time looking at the antlers because I just don't want to focus on that. I saw that he was mature, so I get all the cameras turned on. I had the new Garmin Verb shooting slow-mo footage. I had my Canon HD broadcast camera up behind me, and then I had my Garmin Verb Elite, the original version, on my bow facing back at me. Got all three cameras turned on, and I thought for sure he was going to see me reach up to turn the Canon on, but he kept coming. And when I first saw him, he was 35 yards out, slowly ambling his way towards me, but started to take a trajectory up towards the Cedar Plateau. But he was still probably 25 yards out from me as he arced around, but still coming towards one of the shooting lanes that I'd cut the evening before. It was a beautiful cedar tree that had dead branches all the way up to probably 7 feet, and then they were all living. I trimmed a bunch of those out, and I always kind of go back and forth. Am I trimming too much out? Should I leave more on? I cut a ton of branches out of that place the night before. It didn't bother this guy at all. Well, he gets his head passes behind the cedar tree that I just cut the evening before. I come to full draw on the PSE Evolve, and he steps out, and now his vitals are perfectly framed in the shooting lane that I had cut out the evening before. All cameras are rolling. It's a mature deer. Is it the 10? I think so, but I'm not positive, but I'm shooting anyway. So I'm standing there at full draw, waiting, and I shoot I shoot a thumb release, but I shoot back tension. So when I shoot, my shot sequences come to full draw, circle up the reticle of my peep with the housing of my sight, and I'm shooting a single pin Trophy Ridge React 1 sight. I circle those things up, so concentric circles, make sure the bubble balance is level. And then I start pulling into the back wall of that bow and rotating my hand at the same time. So I don't know when the shot is going to go off. And I know that freaked me out at first. It freaks a lot of people out that think about their shot sequence and not knowing exactly when it's going to fire. But I find that I don't anticipate the shot. I don't have trigger panic when I do that, or target panic when I do that, because I don't know when it's going to happen. So I'm building, and then the shot goes off. And I hear the thud of that arrow smacking the rib cage of that buck. He bucks and runs 10 yards, slows down, walks for another 5 or 6 or 7 yards up the hillside, almost like nothing was wrong. But then I can see his tail start shaking a little bit, and he starts hunching up, and he starts making this coughing sound. Yeah, can you hear that? He's making this coughing sound, and then he just falls over. He traveled 15 yards and fell over. Kicked a little bit, and then it was silent. 2 weeks into the bow season, and I was tagged out on a buck that I watched drop within visual range. Unbelievable. And by this point, it's maybe 7:30, and it's already probably in the low 70s. It's on its way to getting pretty warm. And I just dropped this great deer. So start calling some people. I called my buddy Jeremy, Coach Jeremy over at Fit to Hunt. He agreed because I was self-filming. He came over and helped me film some of the recovery stuff. Craziest thing, though. So you guys know I shoot the Dirt Nap Gear DRT broadheads. Walked up on this deer to do the recovery, and it was a legitimate recovery. You know, sometimes people recreate them. It was a legitimate first-time recovery. I pick his head up, and you can see this on camera. I may air this. I may not. I still haven't made up my mind. And it looks like his tongue is hanging out of his mouth. His mouth is all bloody. It was a double lung shot. Mouth is all bloody. And he's got what looks to be like his tongue wagging out of his mouth, and you never want that. Like you want the tongue to be tucked back inside. You don't want it to look like that when you take pictures. It wasn't his tongue. It was a strip of his lung, a pretty good chunk of lung. So that coughing sound he was making, he was hacking up a part of his lung. That dirt nap gear broadhead ripped through both lungs and just destroyed him on the inside, and he was dead within a minute. Unreal. And it had, that arrow had more kinetic energy on it to spend, because it was full pass through and it stuck in the dirt on the back side of him. Just incredible. I couldn't believe that it happened that quickly, and that's why I bow hunt. You just never know what's going to happen. And this property in the past has been typically a doe only property. We see bucks, but they're usually smaller. I didn't have any trail cams on there. I went on the human intelligence from my buddy Carl, who said there's a Big 10 back there. It wasn't the Big 10, because I shot Carl a picture via text of this buck, and he's like, "That's a great deer, Tim, but that thing is not the big one I saw out there a few days beforehand." So early season bow hunting, a lot of guys don't want to do it because it's too hot. And very honestly, it was probably one of the worst days that I've had of processing a deer, because by the time I got it home, it was in the mid 80s. By the time I'm deboning and everything out in the backyard, it's solidly 89 degrees outside, and the flies and the heat, and it was a mess. But boy, I was so happy to have that deer. So human intelligence was the key to that deer. The dirt nap gear broadhead, that PSE Evol that I'm shooting is 65. I'm drawing 65 pounds, and it just punched through him like nothing. So everything worked perfectly, and he was in frame. When you guys see the video of this, it's just unbelievable. He stopped dead center in the frame of both my cameras, and then the one camera looking back at me. It's beautiful. So we think we're going to get that up on Midwest Outdoors maybe sometime next year. We're still working through the details, but early season success in Missouri. So glad to have that deer knocked out. Now that it's November, once rifle season starts, I can take my bow back out in the woods and start hunting bucks again. So stay tuned on that. But just wanted to get you guys up on my September success. And then one last thing, customer service is so important. I bought a set of nocturnal lighted nocks. I was thinking that probably shooting a lighted knock is better for doing video. So I got these nocturnals. Daryl suggested that the nocturnals were the way to go. I got them up for my Easton bloodlines, and one of them would not fire up out of the package. So I sent in, they come in a 3-pack. I sent the one that was non-functioning back in, and just a few weeks later I received a fresh pack of 3 nocturnal lighted nocks, which I call customer service, because it was kind of a hassle to go to the post office and send a non-functioning lighted knock in. So that was a hassle, but the fact they sent back 3 as opposed to just 1 to replace the one that wasn't working, I think was a good move, and so I appreciate Nocturnal for doing that. So thank you for that. Up next, we're going to chat with one of my new buddies, Elliott Booe from BBR Outdoors, talking about a cool thing he did for a service member, and then some things he's got cooking in the bow hunting world. You're listening to the Thinking Woodsman Show. Okay, well, I didn't catch you guys up completely on what happened during the month of September, because not only did I kill that buck I just told you about, but I had my 20-year high school reunion. And I tell you what, going back after not seeing some of these people for 10 years, I saw them at the 10-year reunion, but then the 20-year, oh my goodness, someone let a bunch of old people into that reunion. Either people are frozen in time, or they look like they've aged 40 years, and there's just no place in between. But one of my friends, we went out to dinner with a group of friends, sitting around talking, and she married a guy that is in the Army and continues to serve. He's full-time Army. And we got to talking about bow hunting a little bit. And I'm like, okay, we can't talk too much about bow hunting because then I won't get a chance to visit with anyone. He emailed me after we got to hang out that evening. He just said, hey, come on over to Indiana, hunt with me sometime. I'd love to show you around and maybe kill some coyotes. He had also mentioned that he bought a dozen arrows back in 2004, I think, and he hasn't, with family and serving in the military, not making a whole lot of money, he hasn't been able to purchase new arrows, so he's down to 6 arrows, and he keeps refletching the old arrows after he tears them up at the range. And I just was thinking, man, it's a shame that one of our active duty service members can barely afford to shoot a new set of arrows. And so I put the word out on the Thinking Woodsman Facebook page for anyone that was willing to help out a service member. And lo and behold, Elliott Booe from over in Indiana stepped up just a few miles away from where this guy was living, and stepped in and said, send him my way. I'll hook him up with a fresh dozen arrows. And so I've got Elliott on the line with me right now. Elliott, thanks for joining the podcast.
No problem, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, thank you so much for what you did. You didn't have to do that. He wasn't necessarily someone I knew directly, but I knew him through a friend, and you stepped in and said, I'm gonna make this happen. You weren't expecting any promotion. You and I kind of talked about this after the fact. You were just going to do it out of the goodness of your heart. So I appreciate your appreciation for service members and what you did for my now buddy. So thank you.
Hey, that is not a problem at all. It's kind of cool when you've got somebody that really needs something and you can get it to them. Yeah, especially when you've got somebody that probably deserves it and really is going to get some use out of it. And shooting 13-year-old arrows probably isn't a good idea either.
No, it's not. No, and in my mind, I could envision like a gnarly old set of like Carbon Express arrows from Walmart that have been ripped up and refletched over and over and over again. So thank you for that. And he actually sent us a picture, just so you guys know. He sent Elliott and I a text image. I think he killed a doe here a few days back. So those arrows are working for him.
That is awesome. And they're black eagles, so they've got to fly right.
Awesome. Well, hey, yeah, thank you again for that. But I wanted to get folks a chance to hear what you're doing over there in Indiana, because you're kind of breaking some new ground with a different way for people to access quality gear.
Yeah. So early in the year, we opened up an archery shop there in Center Point, Indiana. It's called BBR Outdoors, or you can see us on Facebook at Blackbird Resources. We started this archery shop up, carrying high quality products. We don't carry a ton of different bows, a ton of different companies. It's more of a boutique shop. So we're putting high quality products in front of you that we use and that we believe in, and not a whole lot else. We can get some other things, but the archery shop's there. It's going well. We're selling a ton of elite bows, and the new stuff they're coming out with is awesome. But our main focus now is on the Hunt BBR hunting program. And I would think of it as a way for just new hunters and experienced hunters to look at quality products and have a chance to see them. Even if they might not be able to afford them, they've got a chance to win them in our giveaways. So every member of our hunting program is going to get a hat, a shirt, a decal every single year, as well as discounts in our shop and in our online store. And then starting every month from November on to June, and then every year after that, we're going to be doing monthly giveaways on high quality products. 1 month it's going to be covert cameras this year. Another month is going to be hawk tree stands and products, all the way up until the end of June, when we're going to give away a full TOG package. So you're talking a brand new elite bow, arrows, release, case,
wow.
the whole 9 yards. So a guy's going to be able to take that entire setup and go do whatever he wants with it. So it's not only showing you what kind of products are out there, but it's also putting some of this equipment in guys' hands that might not have a chance to see it, might not have a chance to really use it before.
So what are you talking about in terms of annual membership fee?
It's going to be $100 a year.
Oh, geez, that's nothing.
And yeah, it's nothing, and it's similar to say Buckmasters or something like that, in the fact of you kind of join a community. And with something like that, you get a lot of magazine subscriptions where you see a lot of these deer hunts and you see people having these awesome experiences. Well, we want to take it a step further than that. We don't just want to show people these experiences, because especially with the online world now, you can see a lot of pictures.
Sure.
Everybody's got a picture. Everybody's got that. What we want to do is not only bring the members closer to the products, but we want them to bring them closer to the hunting experiences as well. So at the end of June, we're going to give away as many hunts as possible, starting throughout the Midwest,
Okay.
out to members. That's paid, filmed, you name it, and try to get them on some good bucks, and not only share quality products with them, but give them the chance to experience what they normally just read about.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And it's also great cover too, because like if your wife or your husband walks into the garage and they see a new deer stand in there, you can say, "Well, it just came from I won it in the membership thing." It's cover as you buy more gear that you probably don't need.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're giving it away. I have no sponsors. I'm giving away stuff out of my shop. I mean,
Are you looking for sponsors?
this is a right now. I'm not necessarily looking for sponsors because I've kind of chose my products. I
Okay,
chose
you dialed
the
it in.
companies that I use rather
Mm-hmm.
than saying, okay, hey, I just need as much money to get this thing
Open the
going as I
floodgates.
can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Going into it, I had a few bow companies, a few stand companies, a few of these that I really looked at,
Mm-hmm.
and I had stuff that I'd used in the past and decided to go away from, stuff that I've tried in the past and wanted some more of,
Yeah.
and really narrowed it down that way, and felt like I've got something that, later on you get sponsorships. The only thing that it can do is just make this giveaway program better, this hunting program better. But I'm not going to do it with products that I'm not going to use.
Yeah, you got to believe in it.
And I'm not going to let that dictate me, because if I get into something and start something like this, you're going to have to believe in it to make it work.
So how do people engage that process? How do they check out the hunting membership program?
Okay, there's going to be a couple different ways to get into the program. We're in the process of updating our website right now. Another way is to get on our Facebook page, which is Blackbird Resources, and you can get on there. You can see our content. You can message us personally to get signed up for the membership.
Okay, and I'll make sure that I link that up in the show notes for this episode.
Definitely. But the website should be up and running here mid-November, and with all the bugs worked out, and you'll be able to get on there and see a lot more content and a lot more description of the membership program and the gear. But for now, the Facebook page is a great place. We're going to get started ramping up with the video next week, and our membership program, which has already started selling in October, rather than having an October giveaway, when our video comes out next week, we're just going to do a giveaway every single month of November. So we're going to probably start off with a Hunter Specialties Rut Pack. That's going to be deer calls, scent, buck bomb, you name it.
Cool.
Just kind of a Hunter Specialty, just a gift basket. Then we're going to have some things from Scott, from Slick Trick, from Solid Broadheads, over the course of the end of this year.
Okay.
And move it on into the ATA show. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. So people just search for BBR Outdoors on Facebook.
Yeah, or Blackbird Resources.
Okay.
And like I said, the first giveaways are going to start early next week. And the biggest thing about it, though, are the hunts.
Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be giveaways every month, but the hunts at the very end, where we're going to try to target Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio. We've got some possibilities in Illinois, South Carolina, Arkansas. So we're looking at multiple states, and some of these are outfitters. Some of them are going to be private land. So it's going to allow us a lot of different options, a lot of different feels. Everything's going to be paid. Everything's going to be filmed. So instead of it just being, yeah, here's a hunt, but you got to do all this other stuff with it. No, our food plots are set up on our properties. The outfitters are set up. We've got people to film. And not only do you get a chance to be around quality products, but each member gets a chance to get their 15 minutes of fame. Or
sure, how cool is that? That's a lot of value.
It's a deal where it's almost like I'm wanting to start a hunting show, but I don't want to be on it.
Yeah.
And it's because when I was introduced to it and I really got into bow hunting, now the look on somebody's face for the first time they get a deer 4 yards from them, or they have a bobcat walk behind them and they don't recognize it's happening. Just seeing the other people get to experience it too at the same time that I am is just awesome.
Well, and so someone might be kind of wondering, well, Tim, why do you have someone from another archery shop on your show when Select Archery is is your title sponsor for the show, and Daryl at Select will tell you this, but we have to be supporting our local archery shops. Guys that are doing some really innovative things, that care about the sport, that care about each bow that leaves that door, because they know that not only is it a weapon, but it's also something that's providing food for a family, and it's providing memories for a lifetime. You want the people working on those on your rig to really care about it as much as you do, and there's money is tight in the archery industry right now. People think that the archery shop owners are fat cats rolling. Those margins are so thin, and they're being eaten up by some of the bigger box stores. We have to be supporting our local neighborhood archery shops. So
absolutely.
So that's kind of my other plug, is that there's no competition among local archery shops. It's really between the big box entities and the local guys. So just generally, regardless of where you're listening to in the States or in other countries, please make sure as much as possible you're patronizing your local shops. And so, Elliott, thanks again for what you've done and what you're doing, and thanks for sharing this service that you've started up. It's really innovative, and I think it's got a lot of legs to it.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. And anytime I can help somebody, I think that's a good thing. And I really think that with this hunting program starting up, more so than sponsors, I think I'm going to try to get other local shops, just like Select Archery, like some others around the area, on it as well, and promoting it and taking part in the hunts. Not so much money-making scheme as get everybody involved.
Yeah, it's a service.
So it is a service, and I can't wait for it to get started. So
awesome. Well, Elliott Booe from BBR Outdoors, thank you so much for what you've done. Thanks for spending some time on the show with us this month.
No problem. I appreciate it.
All right. You are listening to the Thinking Woodsman Show. Deer hunters, are you tired of oversleeping and being late to the deer stand because you use the pathetic little alarm chime on your phone? Do you wish you snapped up and out of bed every morning? Do you like being asked questions you can't respond back to? If you're still listening, then you need the Buck 30 alarm clock. Never again will you doze to weak wake-up sounds like, or what even is this? You'll both upright at rollout time every time with a Buck 30 alarm clock wakes you up with a sound only deer hunters know, and low. That's right, babies. Get to your stand before the deer do. The Buck 30 alarm clock will get you there. No sound catches the attention of a whitetail hunter like a blowing buck. Now bring it into your bedroom to get your day rolling. Oh, I'm up already. Okay, geez, shut it off. Why did I even buy that thing? I'm up. Buck 30 guarantees you won't sleep in anymore. In fact, you may become too terrorized to even fall asleep in the first place. We even back the Buck 30 alarm clock up with a customer satisfaction warranty. If you don't love your Buck 30 within 20 days, just pay the shipping, forfeit the purchase price, and return your device. We'll refund a certain percentage of it, no questions asked, except maybe, what's wrong with you? If you're a deer hunter and you need to get out of bed and to the stand on time, you need the Buck 30 alarm clock. Oh man, that is annoying. Can we cut some of the blowing sounds out of that spot? Okay, and we're back, and we are in the blind. We're in the deer hunting blind at Select Archery, and I've got the guys from Tall Oaks Archery. I've got Dana and Matt. Guys, welcome aboard.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Happy to be here.
Well, thanks for setting up this setup that we have here, because we're trying to push tables and chairs into this blind right out here by the range. We got to figure it out, so we're kind of tucked away in here, but people keep looking over like, what is happening? There's 3 dudes in that blind. What is going on over there?
Yeah, it's a very cozy setting.
No doubt. Somebody was taking pictures of us a minute ago.
Sounds sketchy. So we're here to talk about broadheads, but you guys took the time to drive down. I took the time to drive up today to have this talk. And last night I was at the Clint Black concert in St. Louis.
Nice.
And we were talking about country music and how we miss some of the older stuff, and some of the newer stuff is a little poppy. So I've got a challenge for you guys. I'm gonna sing a line of a Clint Black song, and we'll see if you can finish the line.
Oh, man.
Man, we're flying blind in this blind today, aren't we?
Hey, or Loving Blind. It's a song. Okay, all right. Here we go. All right, so either you guys can hop in and do this, and so I'll say this: if you can finish the line, then you'll get a Thinking Woodsman ball cap.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That may or may not have been pre-warned.
All right, and if you stump us, we'll give you a Tall Oaks Archery hat.
Sweet.
Deal.
All right, here we go. You were the first thing that I thought of.
When I walked through that door.
That's wrong.
Oh.
When I thought I drank you off my mind.
There you go.
Okay, here's another one. It's an older one. Spent my lifetime wishing the waitress would come around. Bow, wow, wow.
Nothing.
Got nothing.
Got nothing.
Telling jokes, shooting pool on the other side of town.
Man, you're a way bigger Clint Black fan.
1989 is when he hit the scene.
Yeah.
Him and Alan Jackson and Garth Brooks, they're all kind of the class of '89, and it doesn't seem like that long ago, but that's almost 30 years now.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, well, there's your country music minute. Now, I get to hang on to some hats, too, so I'm going to score a Tall Oaks Archery hat. So, guys, what is Tall Oaks Archery?
Yeah, basically Dana and I, we've set out to test broadheads and gather as much data as we can in an objective manner that's basically puts data out there for bow hunters.
Yeah, I had a little bit of experience publishing some articles in Bow Hunter and Bow and Arrow magazine over the years, and when Matt moved in the neighborhood, he said, dude, it's the third millennium, you got to get into the present time. There's a thing called the internet and YouTube, and he says, let's test some stuff and get it out there. So really it was Matt's brainchild.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, and the interesting thing with you guys is that you are independent, so you have no sponsor per se related to broadheads, so you can be kind of pure and objective in that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When Dana's always been kind of a broadhead freak, and he's got one of every broadhead at least there in his at his shop. So
and Dana is an engineer by trade.
True.
Which kind of makes sense.
That's
is
right.
Your proclivity towards finding out how things work. And
that's right. Yeah. So so Dana got me passionate about broadheads. I always shot just the same broadhead. So we had the idea to get some data out there that was independent, because everything we read was geared towards selling the broadhead trying to put down another broadhead, and we just want to get information out there.
There's a lot of non-committal reviews out there. You might see a magazine do a broadhead review, and when you read it, it's like the analogy is the participation award. Everybody wins, and everybody looks good. So we wanted a little more specifics and detailed information on what are the trade-offs with flight characteristics and penetration and wound channels and things like that.
so maybe talk about, because I have watched your guys' videos, and you go pretty in-depth in terms of the components of performance that you look at. Why don't you list those out so people can know just what you're digging into?
Yeah, we have basically 6 testing categories. One's cutting surface, penetration, damage, flight characteristics. This season we added kind of a jugs drain out test, kind of a different approach to that. And then we have deflection tests. So we break it out into each different category. So if something's more important to a certain hunter, they can kind of look at that category and see what broadhead best fits them. And then also created a compiled score that basically summarizes into more of a general score of.
If you just want the
broadheads.
executive summary
right.
of a broadhead, then here you
Yeah,
go.
sort of the most valuable player would win the overall composite score.
Yeah.
But the example we cited earlier today was if you had a fella shooting 80 foot-pounds of kinetic energy, he's not going to worry about penetration. He's going to be worried about flight characteristics. So he'll weight that category higher, and he can look at that table and sort in that manner. If someone really wants the best of all categories, overall MVP, you look at the composite score.
Which is really what I think we as bow hunters, we need to get a little more specific on and understand what we need and what we want. Because it's hard to ask, what's the best broadhead to shoot? Because I'm sure you guys get that question a lot. For example, this buck that I just killed, it showed up at 35 yards, and I shot it within 20. So flight is not as important as if I'm going out west to hunt an elk, and a 60-yard shot is more likely the case. So that's probably something you guys have experienced, is when people ask you to, like, summarize, just tell me the best. How do you start to formulate a response to that?
Yeah, we ask questions just like what you just cited was, what are your situations that you're going to be hunting in? And if it's elk out west, which is it's a tougher animal than a whitetail, and it's going to have heavier rib cage, penetration is going to be key, and there's going to be some threshold where your kinetic energy and arrow momentum is going to preclude you from shooting a expandable broadhead, for example.
That's right. Sure.
But we'll ask questions like that and try and understand what's the application, and then look at the table and say, here's probably the way you want to go.
Okay. Your experience with expandables so far, because there's still people are still concerned about will they open on impact, and are they going to just wound a deer? So what's been your experience so far with the field in general?
Right. So we haven't done any field tests with the expandables, but we did go through our 6-step testing with the expandables. We found a lot of interesting results. I guess one of the benefits of expandable broadheads is that they, in general, most of them create a very large wound channel.
Yeah.
So that is by far a great benefit. One of the things that we found was a disadvantage with them is that if you're going to take that shot through the front shoulder, and if that's the only shot you don't have a broadside shot, they didn't perform as well in penetration. They didn't perform nearly as well as a fixed blade. But they have, the fixed blades didn't perform as well with the wound channel test as well. So it's kind of a trade-off. So that was one of the big takeaways. There's a lot of moving parts with these mechanicals that or expandables. They rattle. Some of them rattle. Some of them just kind of come apart and open. They're a little more high maintenance, but it just depends what you're looking for.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dana, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say they can be a bit unnerving because of that, and there's uncertainty that surround these mechanical broadheads. Will they open before they hit the animal? Will they open after? The stuff that just is in the back of your mind that I call them hassle factors also, that you just have to handle these and think about them differently. We actually both have experience using them in the field, but years ago. Matt has a giant whitetail hanging on his wall that was a victim of a rage.
Yeah.
Two-blade, I think.
Two-blade.
Two-blade.
Okay.
I've killed several with expandables. I also had one really bad experience with an expandable that drove me back to fixed blades for many, many years. And now we're revisiting and gaining confidence in expandables.
Do you find that most bow hunters get gun shy if they have one bad experience with a particular product?
I'm certainly that way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That's an example of a terrible question to ask in an interview. Just a simple yes or no question. Do you like being here? Yes, I do.
Well, and then people are very passionate about broadheads. If they have one that's performed very well for them, that is the best broadhead. And that's great, because we think that the most important thing with a broadhead is for the hunter to find a broadhead that fits them and gives them confidence in the field. So, and that's what it's all about.
And that's hard to quantify.
It is.
Like you can't necessarily test for that.
That's right. It's a personal preference, and some guys that have bad experiences with, say, a mechanical or a certain fixed blade broadhead, they're very passionate about that as well. So and they make that known. So,
and I think the broadhead discussion can become a lot is analogous to, in the firearms world, the caliber discussion. What
No
caliber is
doubt.
best for self-defense? Well, holy cow. Buckle your seatbelt because this is going to be a flame board on the internet, and it's going to go nuts. And everyone has an opinion, but typically our opinions, and I know this as a bow, I have more access to product than most bow hunters, but typically you only know what you know. You guys are kind of having a wide swath of product that you're testing, as opposed to like, well, I've only shot muzzies and they've always done so.
Yeah.
So muzzies are the broadhead.
Yeah, and we're bow hunters, and we have our own opinions. But with Tall Oaks Archery, we try to keep that out of the data.
Yeah.
And we try to make everything as objective as possible, and really just put the data out there for the that hunter to make his own decision.
Sure.
So,
Minimize the opinions and maximize the data, and try and be as objective as possible. And as a result, and this is circumstantial evidence, but as a result of our approach, we really haven't had a lot of negative feedback. People who might be offended by our results because their particular broadhead didn't perform all that well in that category. We're not hearing much of that. We're hearing mostly, hey, good objective approach, thanks for the data. Helps me make a decision.
Yeah, well, it's hard to argue with how thorough you guys are. The videos, the data is all there. It's all extremely detailed, and so there's very little room for opinion within that. In fact, I kind of wish you guys would open a journalism school and maybe remind journalists that we're trying to be objective and report the facts.
Is that what they're for? I wasn't getting
A
that.
long time ago, that used to be the case.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they used to do that.
well, we're just trying to produce something that we couldn't really find online or in journals prior to us kind of getting into broadhead testing. That's what we're looking for. Couldn't find it, and so we're just trying to do it and get it out there.
Fill the gap.
That's right.
So it's no secret that I shoot dirt nap gear broadheads. They're dependable, and I know you guys have tested them, and they fared kind of up and down in the fixed blade category. And I was thinking about so why do I shoot dirt nap gear broadheads? And performance is obviously a piece, but also there's a component of I know the owners. I know Tom, and he's a Missouri guy, and so I feel like I want to I believe in the mission and the company, so that's another kind of hard to quantify. There are other broadheads that have you can put a bigger wound channel through a deer, but there's some other categories that are unquantifiable that I think people like brand loyalty, which is kind of what it boils down to. In some
Plus, they
respects.
look really cool.
They are.
They
They are.
look pretty
we
cool.
should have a
They
cool
got
factor.
some,
Like
they got
'cause
some curb appeal.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do.
Right.
And all the broadheads that we've tested in general are good broadheads. I mean,
Yeah.
they all will kill a deer. They'll all do what you want them to do. It's just there's some people out there that want a little more detail and want a little more data on what they're shooting,
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So
is awesome.
I mean, but yeah, they're all great broadheads. We try to pick broadheads that we would consider using in the field.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the work that you guys are doing, because I think that we have too many people that are pushing things just because that's what they know. This year I'm shooting a PSE. For the past 4 or 5 years I've shot a Matthews, and people were aghast that I would shoot something different. And you point it at the deer and you release and the deer dies. Like it's so much more about skill. I think people try to make it too much about purchasing skill through equipment.
No doubt. Yeah, we get that, and I don't think we have a lot of brand loyalty with our bows or with the broadheads, and have an objective approach to all the products, and want to know what's best and help other people see what kind of data we have come up with, share it, and if it helps them make a good decision to have a good experience in the field, then our mission is accomplished.
Yeah. And it strikes me that maybe one of the sub questions that people are asking but not verbally asking you is how little skill can I have, and what equipment can I buy to kill a deer that will compensate for my lack of skill or lack of time at the range practicing. Because I mean, I hate to be pessimistic about it, but that's kind of sometimes the driver.
There's probably a bit of an element of that, and we all experience it, right? If we had more time and money, we'd buy all the best equipment, we'd practice constantly, and go to the field with 100% confidence that we're going to have a humane hunt and respect nature and do all the things that all the hunters want to do. But reality sets in, and here we are, limited time and resources, and
Right.
you want the best that money will buy, and you want as much information as possible to make that a decision to get you started.
Yeah.
And once you get started, then it's up to you to dial it in and do the best you can.
So folks can subscribe to your YouTube channel, Tall Oaks Archery, right?
They can.
That's correct.
Okay. Anywhere else you want people to follow or engage?
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Tall Oaks Archery. You can find us there, and on YouTube.
Okay.
And
check
now
us
on the
out.
Thinking Woodsman.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've really made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big step for us.
It's a big day for
Yes,
us.
absolutely.
I feel bad for you guys. This is really not a big deal.
Everything's relative.
Right, that's true. That's true. Well, guys, thanks for making the time for coming down to Select Archery and hanging out. I appreciate it. It's great to get to visit and talk broadheads.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We literally did set up in a big box blind on the range at Select Archery to do that interview with Matt and Dana from Tall Oaks, and it was a ton of fun. Although I am thoroughly disappointed in those boys for their lack of Clint Black lyric knowledge, but the depths that they go to test broadheads, that's kind of their redeeming factor. So I wanted to catch you up on some of the things that I've been working on this past month. The first, if you get Midwest Outdoors magazine, I had done a column in there called "Disappointed by Squirrels and Surprised by Deer," and that's it's really teaching you how to listen for the difference between squirrel and deer in the forest. And there are patterns and things I've learned over time to where I'm about 95% accurate. When I hear either one of those animals walking in the woods, I can tell what it is. And I remember the times when I couldn't, and I was always on edge or unprepared when it was actually a deer. So you can subscribe to Midwest Outdoors magazine by going to MidwestOutdoors.com. You can get a digital version, or you can get the old school hard copy delivered to your mailbox every month. So that's at Midwest Outdoors. I also did a piece, in fact, I'm going to kind of talk about the lead up to it in this next segment regarding a police officer coming and confronting me about using a firearm in my own yard. But I was preparing for a squirrel hunting trip as kind of an homage to my dad. My dad started me out hunting on a friend's cattle pasture in a stand of gigantic oak trees. We'd hunt squirrels as a kid with shotguns. I'd have his 20 gauge break action shotgun, and he'd take his Remington 870 Wingmaster, and those mornings were just magical to me. And those are the mornings that really lit in me a fire for the outdoors. And the time that I was able to spend with him was just magical. I went back and I hunted that pasture at the end of September, as, like I said, as kind of a memorial to my dad. And I wrote a piece called "The Tall Oaks in My Dreams," and that's over at thethinkingwoodsman.com. You can read that. But it was all about what that trip meant to me and what it was like coming back after not hunting that pasture for over 20 years. It's a really special piece to me, so it'd mean a lot to me if you read it. It's called "The Tall Oaks in My Dreams" over at thethinkingwoodsman.com. Working on a couple other projects that I'm not at liberty to talk about just yet, but I will say that in the August 2018 edition of Midwest Outdoors magazine, myself and another writer are tackling a comprehensive archery gear review, really a bow hunting gear review. So if you know of someone, or you are someone who represents a bow hunting gear brand and want to get a hold of me to see about getting your product in that rundown, give me a buzz, shoot me an email, thethinkingwoodsman.com. You can find all my contact information down there. So that's what's cooking this month. Let's talk about what happened on my property, with my property, and law enforcement next. I'm curious what you would do if you were put in this situation. So a few weeks back, I was in my backyard shooting my 17 HMR, prepping for a squirrel hunt and getting the scope dialed in. But the table that I'm sitting at has my gun vise on it, and it's kind of near the curb, near my front yard, shooting into the backyard. It's all completely safe. And with my even though I had my earmuffs on, I heard a car pull up behind me, and it's a police officer. And I thought, oh, what in the world is going on? I open the bolt on the gun, lay it down, take my earmuffs off, and stand up to greet the officer. And he says, "How's it going?" And I wasn't happy. I was like, "Well, it was going pretty good." He said, "Yeah, I got a complaint from a neighbor calling. She said she heard gunfire behind her house and wanted us to come check it out." And I was like, "Well, it was probably me. I've been out here for a few minutes sighting in my gun." And he's like, "Oh, what do you got there?" And I was like, "Oh, is it a 22?" And I said, "No, it's a 17." And I said, "I'm on my property, and this is completely legal to do," which it is. And we live in an unincorporated area, and I've talked to other police officers in the past that I just know that work out here, and they said, "Yeah, as long as you're doing everything safe, it's no big deal." And he's like, "Yeah, it looks like everything's safe back here. It looks like you're doing good." But here's the thing that kind of set a red flag off for me. He said, "Yeah, I just need to check your gun, make sure it's not stolen." And I said, "What do you mean? Why would you need to check my gun to make sure?" "Well, it's just standard procedure. Whenever we go out on a call and there's a firearm involved, we always like to make sure that it belongs to the person that's using it." And I said, "Well, what if it didn't belong to me? What if it was my dad's gun or something?" He's like, "Well, that's not a big deal, but we want to make sure that it's not stolen." And I said, "Well, why am I compelled to prove something that I'm using on my own property lawfully, safely, is my own property? You're not going to come and do that with my lawnmower or a Frisbee or anything else. What makes a firearm any different?" I said, "This doesn't feel constitutional to me. It doesn't feel like you should be like I should have to prove that this piece of property that I own is not stolen when I've given no indication that it is." So the police officer was polite, although I didn't appreciate the tactic he took. So while I'm having this conversation, and my hackles are kind of up, and I'm thinking, okay, remain calm. There's a firearm involved here, and the other thing in my head was that police are under so much fire right now from so many different angles, and in many cases they haven't earned that fire. Because I thought maybe I should get my phone out and start recording this interaction. But the flip side of that is that it amps up an already kind of tense situation, and I felt like I didn't want to do anything to make a police officer's life any more difficult. But I didn't want to roll over on my constitutional rights either. So I left the phone on the table. I didn't start recording him. But I said, what I need to know is, are you telling me you're going to check to see if my gun is stolen, or are you asking me if you're allowed to check? And he kind of him-hawed around a little bit, but he said, "Yeah, I can't make you allow me to check the serials on it. You have to give me permission." And I said, "Okay, that's what I needed to hear from you. I didn't appreciate you making it seem like it was something I was compelled to do. I just needed you to be upfront and honest about what my rights are in this situation. You're the law enforcement officer, so you need to be very clear about what the law is." Because he was kind of playing loose with it. So I let him check the serials on it. And they came back, no, it wasn't stolen. Of course it wasn't. But at the same time, I even told him. I said while he was checking, I was like, "I think I made the wrong decision here. I don't think I should have let you check that." Two things were at play there. One, I'm not sure if I did the right thing. I definitely made his life a little easier. The nosy neighbor down the street, I don't really care. I am a good neighbor, and that's gonna be what it is. I think I made his life a little easier, which is great for him. I'm not so sure if I did like the fully constitutional thing by allowing him to check it. I kind of go back and forth. So I'm curious in your thoughts. You can shoot me an email at tim@thethinkingwoodsman.com or send me a message on Facebook. But the other thing was, I feel like there was a temptation there for me, because when you do outdoor media like this, it's so much of it is about people watching, people interacting, and numbers. And I was thinking, man, if I get this really kind of gray area on video, this video would blow up online. I'd get so many views and make some pretty good money off of it too. But at what cost? I didn't feel like if I had done that, it would have been a dignified way of earning views and earning followers. So I let it pass, and I probably missed out on an opportunity. And I tell some people when they ask me about the Thinking Woodsman, I was like, well, it's not a very sexy brand because I like to think about things, and sometimes I'll admit when I'm wrong, and I don't check all the boxes on one side. I'll go issue by issue and think things through, and it's a thinking person's brand, and you can't just set it on autopilot and cruise. So I felt good that I didn't go that route, although it would have been nice to have some extra YouTube followers. He drove away, and it was fine. I went back, and in fact, before he drove away, I commenced to shooting because I wanted whatever nosy neighbor was down the street peeking through her curtains to see that Tim is shooting and the police officer is there and nothing's happening. So I wanted her to see that this is legal. Keep your 2 cents to yourself. But I'm curious what you guys think I should have done in that situation, or if I did the right thing. So shoot me an email, tim@thethinkingwoodsman.com, or send me a message on Facebook, and let me know. But yeah, that was kind of a strange run-in with law enforcement with a firearm on my own property. How much you guys want to bet that I start getting orders for the $130 alarm clock? I may need to look into patenting that. Well, thanks for being part of the show this month. We covered a lot of ground. We went from a deer coughing up its lung all the way to a Second Amendment challenge on my own property. So thank you for being along for the ride. Also, thank you to Elliott and Matt and Dana. Elliott from BBR Outdoors and Matt and Dana from Tall Oaks Archery for being part of the show this month. If it weren't for you guys, people would be stuck listening to me the whole hour, and that's not a whole lot of fun. So thank you. Also, thank you to my partners at Select Archery, Daryl and Bobby at Osage Trophy Blend. If you appreciate the show, give these guys a shot at your business. They're my friends. You can trust them, and they are investing in what we're doing here at the Thinking Woodsman. So give them a shot at your business. Also, if you represent an outdoor brand or service and are interested in how you can partner up with me on this project, get a hold of me through the website, or just shoot me an email, tim@thethinkingwoodsman.com. And if you can't do any of those things, which a lot of you can't, which is fine, I always appreciate your prayers, and I know you can do that. Well, hey, stay tuned during the month of November. My buddy Jeremy over at Fit to Hunt and I are going to team up, and we're going to do a giveaway of a Wilderness Athlete prize pack. So these are the folks that make nutritional supplements specifically geared to outdoors men and women. So be listening on how you can get in on that. Also, I'm working on the bow hunting gear guide for the 2018 August edition of Midwest Outdoors magazine. So if you have a product that you want reviewed in there, or if you're just interested in a particular type of products, like Tom over at Dirt Nap Gear is interested in all the ozone technology, just let me know. tim@thethinkingwoodsman.com. Well, it looks like the sun is setting. It's time to climb down out of the stand and head back to the truck. For the Thinking Woodsman show, this is your buddy Tim Chelsvik saying, I'm thinking it's time you got outdoors.
You're listening to the Thinking Woodsman podcast.